As some of us are on this journey of learning about trauma and trying to care for others better if they're the ones with the trauma histories, or maybe even tuning into our own trauma history, there is a phrase that I know resonates with so many. I've posted on it before and I get lots of comments and engagement, or people will maybe months later say, hey, what's that phrase that they're trying to remember and understand, because it resonates so well for most of us. And it's kind of one of those bite-sized little tuck it in your pocket, and right, it just helps connect a lot for us in moments that are maybe overwhelming, or we're confused, or maybe someone or ourselves are having big emotions and we're just trying to connect to that. So the phrase is, if it's hysterical, it's historical. All right, hysterical and historical. Now let me break that down a little bit. Hysterical meaning we see some level of behavior in this moment or after some prompt or comment or experience that is it's like an elephant-sized reaction to a mouse-sized situation. And let's say we're the parent, right? And we see this elephant-sized behavior from our child. Maybe we said, no, I'm so sorry, you can't have another cookie. You've already had 2. Or, no, we can't stay at grandma's, it's time to go home. Or, no, we're not also getting the popsicles and the Oreos from the grocery store. We're just getting the bread, the meat, and the milk, and we're going home now. Whatever the situation, right? In all of those contexts, they heard the word no, which is super, super common as kind of a trigger for anyone who's maybe had a trauma history where there was some element of a big no, whether it was no to safety, no to being with family, no to being fed that day, whatever it might be. So this hysterical behavior, it's elephant size, and we're confused by this mouse size no. Like, I say no all the time to a 4th cookie. I say no all the time to all these extra things at the grocery store. I say no all the time to, staying longer or whatnot at grandma's house or a friend's. And yet maybe today, or maybe every time you say no, you see this elephant-sized behavior. That would be some level of an hysterical behavior, right? And obviously you've got to know your kiddo, you've got to know your teen, and know kind of what's typical and common, and what's, we touched something else and I'm not really sure what that's about. So the hysterical reaction often points to something in their history. It's historical, right? So they feel and sense something that matches more of what the event or the moment or the trauma might have been in the past versus the moment right now, right? It's often a true trigger by hearing no, by being disappointed about something, by feeling abandoned, by experiencing disconnection, whatever that moment might have entailed. Now play this out also for an adult, maybe for yourself or someone that you love. Maybe some simple event happened, a friend canceled last minute to hanging out, or maybe your spouse forgot to prepare part of dinner the way you wanted, or the way you advised, or the way they typically do. Something, that's not awesome, but it's relatively simple. And you realize, I got so upset about that. Maybe I was so upset that I reacted really big, or it festered for days and days. And I don't normally sit in the bitterness and the sulking and the festering on something for so long, when I know in the event, the moment of maybe making the meal differently or wrong or whatever, or a friend canceling in the last minute, you wouldn't normally maybe behave or feel or experience it in that same way. So you might realize, okay, what was that really about? Now, you might not realize it in the moment. Most of us don't, right? Until we've done a lot of our own trauma work to be able to shorten the time that it takes for us to recognize it in the moment. Sometimes it might take us days, weeks, months, until we're really using this muscle of that self-attunement and reflection and identification of what was at the root of that. Because I don't think it was about the cancellation. I don't think it was about the way dinner was prepared. So if it's hysterical, it's historical, right? And it causes us to pause and reflect, maybe outside the moment, In that moment when we or someone that we love or a child is having that hysterical moment, our whole approach means we are just helping that person regulate. We are just showing up and connecting, meeting needs, and regulating. So we're not going to use a lot of words. We're not lecturing. We're not problem solving. Okay, our whole approach has to shift in that moment if it's truly a hysterical reaction triggered by something in their history. But later on, we'd want to reflect and revisit that of, hey, you had a really hard time when you heard the word no. And I know hearing the word no is not very fun, but tell me what you were feeling, or what did that remind you of, or what bothered you so much in that moment. Maybe you explore it with your child if they're at an age appropriate to do that. For the adult, for yourself, maybe later you reflect with someone that cares for you and that is safe and trustworthy. Maybe journal about it, whatever your process is, and you think through, okay, what was going on that week? What happened that day? What did I actually feel when that happened? When my friend canceled, or when I realized the dinner wasn't prepared the way I wanted or advised? And when else have I felt that? And what did it point to? The more curious you become about it, whether it's for yourself or, again, some other adult in your life too, right? You're going to respond in the same way of caring for them in that moment and practicing that curiosity and reflection later on to better understand what historical event, feeling, experience, trauma shaped this moment. All right. So I hope that helps. I mean, I'm going to leave that there because that's kind of enough to chew on, but remembering that if it's hysterical, it really might be historical. And so how can we approach that moment different, show up for that person, help them regulate, and reflect on it later?